Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. This morning on this May Day, May the 1st, we will become Krishna conscious first. And this verse today from the chapter of the 9th canto, chapter number 4, Ambarish Maharaj offended by Durvasa Muni. So welcome to if you haven't already done it, to our dear God sister Mandakini Devi Dasi. She's just flown in from Kazakhstan. Is that right? In Kazakhstan, she was there for a festival via Dubai. What did you buy in Dubai? Did you buy any Krishna Prema there? She got some Krishna Prema in Dubai. That's what they call it, Dubai. Everyone has to go there. When we go there, they say Dubai, not Dubai. But she was there for some days preaching. Many devotees are there. And now we'll be Grace. She's Mataji. All right. Mataji is staying with us for how many days?
24.
24 days.
4 days.
4 days.
3-4 days.
So you leave Sunday or Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday. Leave on Sunday. So maybe tomorrow you can give class, maybe? Is that okay? Where's that boss? Where's the boss?
Krishna.
No boss. Huh?
I just Krishna.
Krishna's the boss. Anyway, hopefully somebody will let you know today, maybe tomorrow you have. Or this is one of the most beautiful sections of the Bhagavatam. It's Maharaj Ambarish being offended by Durvasa Muni. But we are reading the section where Durvasa Muni has gone to Lord Narayan, and Lord Narayan is telling Durvasa Muni, about the glories of his devotees. So, of course, if you want to give on Saturday, that's the key verse of the whole chapter. And one of the key verses in the Bhagavatam, in a sense, is one very famous verse. Very famous. Sadhava hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tam madanyate jananti naham te managapi. The pure devotee, the Lord says to Durvasa, the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So that's the verse on 2 down, 68, we're on 66 today. Beautiful section of the Bhagavatam. So text number 66. Is it on the board?
Yeah.
Okay. Mai Nirbada Vidayaha Sadavaha Samadashanaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satyaha Satpating Yatha Mai Nirbada Hidaya Sadavaksa Madashanaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satya Satpating Yatha Mai Nirbada Hidaya Samadarshanaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satstihak Satpating Yata Mai Nirbhada Hidaya Sadhavak Samadarshanaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satstihak Satpating Yata Mai Nirbhada Hidaya Sadhavak Samadarshanaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satstiyah Satpatim Yata
Mai Nirbhada Hridaya Sadhava Samadarshana Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satstriya Satpatim Yata
Ayine Bada Hridaya Samadashinaha Vashe Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satpatim Yata
Mayne Badharidaya Samadashnaha Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satpatim Yatha
Ladies.
Mai Nirbhada Hridaya Sadhava Samadarshana Vase Kurvanti Mam Bhaktya Satstriya Satpatim Yatha
Mai unto me Nirbhada Hidayaha firmly attached in the core of the heart. Sadhavaha, the pure devotee. Samadarshanaha, who are equal to everyone. Vashe, under control. Kurvanti, they make. Mam, unto me. Bhaktya, by devotional service. Satspriyaha, chaste women. Satpatim, unto the gentle husband. Yata, as. Translation and purport by His Divine Loving Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord continues speaking to Devasa. As chaste women bring their gentle husbands under control by service, the pure devotees who are equal to everyone and completely attached to me in the core of the heart bring me under their full control. You like that verse? You like it? Yes? What's up, Captain? It's a nice verse, isn't it? You like?
Every sloka is like.
Okay, good. But you're smiling. It must be bringing some pleasure to the heart. Srila Prabhupada writes, in this verse, the word Samadarshanaha is significant. The pure devotee is exactly equal toward everyone, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. I think you have it on the board, don't you? Okay, there's no excitement about this. 1854. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Suchati Nakamshati Samak Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Let me quote the first 3 lines. Universal brotherhood is possible when one is a pure devotee. Pandita Samadarshinaha. A pure devotee is actually learning because he knows his constitutional position. He knows the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knows the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. Thus he has full spiritual knowledge and is automatically liberated. Brahma Bhuta. He can therefore see everyone on the spiritual platform. He can comprehend the happiness and distress of all living entities. He understands that what is happiness to him is also happiness to others, and that what is distress to him is distressing to others. Therefore he is sympathetic to everyone. As Prahlad Maharaj said, Shocetato vimukta cetasa indriyata maya sukhaya balam udvahato vimudhan. People suffer from material distress because they are not attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee's chief concern, therefore, is to raise the ignorant mass of people to the sense of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. And there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada doesn't quote it here, but he mentions one line, Pandita Samadarshina. Who knows that verse? Vidyavanaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hasni Shuni Chaiva Shvapakacha Pandita Samadarshina. What's the verse mean? One who is learned. One who is learned, okay. One who is a learned person. That here uses that word here. One who is actually, what did he say here? Huh? Now he understands the relationship. Learned person. Anyway, a learned person sees equally khichdi, halava, samosa, puris, ladus, right? Rice. Sees them all equally, right? Doesn't discriminate, huh? He sees a puffed up puri and even a puffed up puri, he sees it equally with sweet rice, huh?
If he is really hungry, Maharaj.
Uh-huh.
If he is really hungry.
If he's really hungry. Okay. Otherwise he discriminates, right? Yeah. But okay, he's finished off the verse which Krishna said. He didn't say that exactly.
So one with Ranat see equally the Brahmana, the dog eater, the or I don't really know the order.
Yeah.
The elephant, the cow, and the dog.
The elephant.
The dog eater, the elephant, and the Brahmin,
The cow.
the cow. Sees them all equal. But why does he see them equal? They don't look the same to me. They look different. The elephant is a little different than a dog, isn't it? Makes a different sound, behaves differently. What's the equality? Very difficult question. No, you've only been in the movement 15 years. You may have heard this, I don't know. What is that which is equal? Sometimes people talk about equality. What's the slogan they have here in France?
Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Ah. So what is that equality? Is there any material equality really? Yes? Well, everyone's got karma, but everyone's karma is different.
Days.
Huh?
Days. Death.
Death. Oh yeah, we're talking of things in common here. There are certainly things in common, that's for sure. Death, maybe people die differently, but they all die. That's a very common thing, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard that, I've heard that people die. Have you heard about that? I was talking to our hospital doctor here yesterday, and she confirmed it. She confirmed it. Authority. That during the COVID, hardly anyone came in for influenza. During the COVID, when there was the COVID, no one came in for flu, influenza. You know flu? Every year about, 8 million people die of flu. During COVID, only a few people died of flu. Everyone died of COVID. COVID plus flu equaled 1 plus 2 equals 3, 2 plus 1 equals 3. It's the same. Clever.
Yes.
There you go, mathematical genius. It's 6 of one, in English we say, and half a dozen of the other. The same thing. So people die. They die of this or they die of that. Doesn't matter. You die. Is it? Some people dye their hair. All kinds of dying. Well, nobody can avoid death. When you're young, you don't think about it much, do you really? Not so much. Not unless it's on your doorstep. Somebody around you dies, or you almost die, or you may think about it if you die, but generally people aren't around to tell you what happened. Dead people don't usually speak about it. So that's something in common. Another thing in common in the material world, what is it? It's mentioned here by Paris.
Birth.
Huh?
Birth.
Oh, a birth is quite common too. Most people who die they take birth, don't they? I think so. I can't remember being born. Do you remember being born?
No.
Maybe it didn't happen, I don't know. I've got no proof. If I can't see it, how am I supposed to believe it happened? It may have happened to you, but maybe not to me. Same thing with death. I can't remember dying. I can remember, being sick. Huh? You remember being sick?
Yes.
That's something else somewhat in common. Pretty much everyone gets sick. And it depends if you live that long. To different degrees, people get old, but they're not exactly in common. I mean, they are all the same category, aren't they? Another one's mentioned here that suffering, huh? In the material world, everyone suffers. There was a famous Prime Minister of England. His name was Winston Churchill. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Winston Churchill. He said, communism is the equal distribution of misery. One of his statements. Equal distribution of misery. Interesting. Huh? Said the best argument about democracy is a 1-minute talk with any of the voters. You get that, Christian people? The best argument about democracy is a 1-minute talker with any of the voters. They're absolute idiots. They don't know what they're doing. Another thing common, everyone's in ignorance. Everyone's suffering, everyone's in ignorance. And everyone's forgetting Krishna. Prabhupada says here, they're not attached to Krishna in this material world. That's, in one sense, behind it all, the most common thing, isn't it? No one is attached to Krishna. Isn't it? Who's attached to Krishna in this world? I mean, unless you're devoted. Hopefully we're attached. But practically nobody. Not even conscious. And there are many other things in common. Nobody likes to suffer, usually. They try to avoid suffering. And you have other things in common. But then there's different species of life. We're only thinking of humans mainly. Countless species of life, which have different kinds of ways of doing things and so on. But basically speaking, what is the real... Let's be a little bit more philosophical. What is the real thing which is in common between everybody? Yes.
Krishna consciousness.
Well, on a higher level, or on a very indirect level, you can say, because everything is Krishna and people are conscious of Krishna's energies, so you could indirectly infer that. But in terms of their actual present state of consciousness, I don't think it'd be right to say that they're Krishna conscious, although absolutely true.
Dormant.
Okay, dormant Krishna consciousness.
Spirit souls.
Pardon?
They're all spirit souls.
Okay, that's putting it quite simple, isn't it?
Service.
I think what he said, everyone is a spirit soul. So that's what's referred to in that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampani. They see the soul, at least the painting shows it. There's like, in all the bodies there, you see the dog and the elephant and the dog eater and the Brahmin and the cow. And they've all got in the heart, there's a super soul too. But in the heart, there's this light with, rays coming out of it. It's the soul. They see the soul's present in every living being, isn't it? Now, we may theoretically, we understand this, theoretically, don't we? That everyone's a soul. It's hard to relate. It's hard to be Samadarshina sometimes, isn't it? Some people behave in very, very aggressive ways, in very ignorant ways. It's hard to be Samadarshina. Sometimes, you ever get angry?
Yeah.
You ever feel anger against people?
Yeah.
No, Vivekananda never feels angry with anybody. Never. Never, ever. So sometimes, some people sometimes, I've heard anyway, of course I don't know what it's called, I don't know anything about it, but I've heard that sometimes people become angry at people. And, when you hear about some people becoming angry at people, you may become angry at them, depending on how you relate, isn't it? Totally it depends on how you relate. Relate to what? I mean, you can say relate to human behavior or relate to religious principles. So that's a little bit above the normal relationship. It's somewhat getting related to Krishna when we relate to religious principles. If they're actually religious principles. But a lot of times it's not. It's a perversion. So when somebody says something, and or a group, we have this experience, and I won't mention names, but in some part of the world right now, where there's a systematic aggression towards people who identify with a different way of life, a different religion. Systematic. So you may get angry with those people if you identify with that religion which they're angry against. Isn't it? You may feel anger, and this is how wars are often fought, isn't it? People get... because they identify with whatever they identify with. And as long as we identify with anything short of the actual identity, then there will, these type of dualities, this type of friction will take place. Doesn't matter what it is, it'll be one kind or another. People fight over next to nothing and kill over next to nothing. We see the example, for instance, of Ambarish Maharaj himself. When Durvasa Muni, out of great anger, why was he angry? Why was Durvasa angry? Why was Durvasa angry? Prasad wasn't ready on time. Is that the reason? Sometimes he gets angry if Prasad's not ready on time. Why was he angry? We may get angry sometimes if Prasad's not ready on time. Oh, there's nothing left for me.
The king broke his fast before he took, and he felt that it was offending.
He was not respected.
He was not being respected. But he actually planned this, didn't he? It wasn't like circumstantial exactly. He was envious of Maharaj Ambarish. He was envious. A circumstance, you may not be envious of someone, but a circumstance occurs which makes you feel angry there and then. Because of the in his case, he used the circumstance to justify his anger, but he was already angry towards Maharaj Ambarish. He was envious of him. We see the same example there in Ramchandra Khan. You've heard of Ramchandra Khan? when Ramchandra Khan, he was a Hindu in Bengal, Bangladesh. And he was a Hindu. And he was envious of, who was he envious of? Haridas Thakur. As he was getting, Haridas Thakur was completely pure, selfless. And he was getting people, without asking for it, people were coming to him and offering him respect. He was born in a Muslim family. But Ramchandra Khan was puffed up. And he thought he also had a large following. And he thought that, who is this guy? He's attracting attention away from me. He was angry. So he wanted to defame him. But Haridas, or another instance, when he was being whipped in the marketplaces, Haridas Thakur was being whipped with the intention of killing him. How did he react?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
You haven't finished your japa yet. This is Bible. Don't chant japa during Bible. How did he react?
He was praying for their saving.
Yeah. He didn't exactly react with Hare Krishna, because that infers that he wasn't already chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. He was chanting constantly all the time. Whether he was being whipped or whether he was being praised, he just continued chanting Hare Krishna. Whether he was being defamed or whether he was famed or whatever, chanting Hare Krishna went on there. But with him, the word is mentioned here also, isn't it? Near Bhada, firmly attached, fixed. He was fixed in his chanting, steady. And so he didn't see friend or enemy, just like the Goswamis, huh? Dhira dhira jano piyo piyakaro nimatsaro pujito. What are they? Equal to everyone. The friend, the ruffian, they're equal to everyone because they see everyone as, ultimately there's another level to this. It's not just that everyone's spirit, even the Mayavadis see it like that. The devotee sees it beyond that. How does the devotee see? We may not be on that level. We hear about it, we sometimes think about it. We have to follow codes of behavior, isn't it? Like in our preaching, what our codes of behavior are. 4 points.
Leave a good impression.
Okay, that's you could say a resultant factor of preaching, but there are 4 points which you apply when you preach.
Books are the basis.
Pardon?
Preaching is the essence.
Oh, another 4 points. Let's hear something Shastric.
Equal to everyone.
Respect.
That may not be so easy. In fact, the devotee doesn't follow that principle. We follow other principles. Ultimately, it's based on that principle. It's based on 2 other principles that come to mind.
Jivadoya?
Pardon?
Jivadoya?
Well, that's one of the nature of a devotee is he's Jivadoya is he's merciful to all living entities. So the devotee, even though we know it, that the performance of Sankirtana is clearly an act of Jivadoya, mercy to all. But no, there are 4 ways we have to follow codes of behavior when we preach.
Approach the innocent.
Okay, he's got one of them. We preach to the innocent, whatever the innocent are.
Avoid the envious.
Avoid the envious, those who are now envious. You don't. I mean, a pure devotee is not bothered by anything, all equal to them. But we're following a pure devotee, so we follow their guidelines. And they've given us these 4 factors, haven't they? You preach to the innocent, you avoid the envious. What else do you do?
You befriend the equals.
Yeah, you associate with the devotees or your peers. Huh?
You love Krishna.
You love Krishna, you worship Krishna. We may love is a very, you could say, using a very broad terminology, we may not be exactly in love with Krishna, but we're acting in a way which Krishna likes. So we're worshipping Krishna. A certain amount of affection towards Krishna. Show affection to the devotees, preach to the innocent, worship Krishna, and avoid the envious. So we follow these when we're preaching, basically. Of course, in public sometimes you can't, necessarily discriminate quite like that. You're giving a public talk, quite often that happens. Somebody in the public talk is out and out envious. No matter who you are. Even Prabhupada faced that, isn't it? It's just like one time in Uppsala University, Prabhupada was giving a talk in Sweden. It was a very revolutionary university. You had the same thing here in Paris, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which university? Uppsala? No, which university?
Sorbonne.
Huh? In the Sorbonne, was it? In the Sorbonne. There was a very aggressive behavior amongst the audience. And what was Prabhupada's solution? Chant, wasn't it? Kirtan?
Yes.
Yes, he was got out of control.
In
And
the-
Prabhupada just said
It
Kirtan.
was in Salle Pleyel.
Hmm?
It was in Salle Pleyel.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Prabhupada invited that young man to come on the stage.
Oh, here he did that, did he? He
And
did.
the young man says, I'm God.
Oh, here he said he was God.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh,
Prabhupada
that's good.
says, you're not God, you're a dog.
He said that here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have gone down well with the audience.
And all the audience laughed.
Oh, they laughed at me, yeah. They laugh at anyone, even one of their own kinds, if someone pulls them down. They love it. Anyway, in Uppsala University, you could have been, when Prabhupada was talking, there was so much heckling. Heckling means people were like, in the background, trying to disturb the talk. So Prabhupada said to one man, so you have something to say? Because Prabhupada was right on there, he was talking about the Varnashram system. Now these were all like ardent socialists. It's all materially one, It's all materially one. We're all equal materially. Why should you have more money than me? We're all equal. Right? But Prabhupada talked about Varnashram, and he specifically didn't use the word Brahman, he used the word first class. Kshatriyas were second class, Vaishyas were third class, and Sudras were fourth class. The society is divided into classes, first, second, third, and fourth. So, this really didn't go down very well. They wanted a class-less society, right? That was the mood. Equality, right? Class-less. In France, I think it was very strong. Sweden, France, very strong. Not so much in England. And they were so noisy. Prabhupada said, so you have something to say? And the man said, yes! Listen to me. You. Who do you think you are? I guess you think you're first class, do you? He said to Prabhupada. Very aggressive, very strong kind of statement. Wasn't like, are you first class? He said, I guess you think you're first class, is it? Right? Like that, And Prabhupada said, no. Then he said, then what are you? He said, I'm fifth class. I'm below all the classes. I simply serve everyone. And then they couldn't handle it. They just blah, 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 blah. So much for their equality. It's an impossible achievement in the material world. Only a pure devotee is genuinely equal to all. One of the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, isn't it? Samadarshinaha. Is that right? Equal to all. Sankirtan movement is equal to, you go on the street, especially with a kirtan, you don't kind of like, when someone comes by, you kind of like put some plugs in their ears and put a board in front of them so they can't see you. You chant to everyone, right? Doesn't matter who they are, even the dogs, isn't it? If a dog is there, the devotees even chant to the dogs. We don't discriminate. Everybody, let them all hear the holy name. Let them all hear. No matter who they are. Would be a bad idea. Mananda's every day he's going to the airport. He's gone again today. No, that's Mandakini.
I will get another.
Take it back. Take it back. That's Mandakini. Another one's coming. You got your warm water. Good. So the devotee, his equality is mentioned here, in the sense that even, we heard that everyone suffers in this world. But a devotee also, there's a form of suffering we're talking of an advanced devotee, not a neophyte who suffers because of, some kind of attachment to the material world or some misconception of some kind. How does a pure devotee suffer?
The welfare of others.
Paradukkha-dukhi, isn't it? He feels pain due to the suffering of others. Doesn't matter who they are. It's like Haridas Thakur, when he was being whipped in the marketplaces, and they're trying to kill him. They're so aggressive. They were ordered to whip him to death. He wasn't just chanting Hare Krishna, which is, that's why it's said in Trinadapi Sinichena Torodapi Sahishna Amanina Managena. Everyone knows this very important verse. What does it mean?
Humbler than the grass.
Humbler than the straw in the street. More tolerant than the tree. You believe that?
Ready to give all respect to others.
Ready to offer all respects to others,
No
matter who they are. And not
Not
expecting any respect on your own account. Where'd you get that from?
From your room.
I didn't give you the key.
Prabhuji gave.
Who? Oh, someone else has got a key. I better be careful there. Better don't leave anything of value in that room. Dangerous.
Because we asked.
Huh?
We asked.
Asked who?
They asked for the key.
They asked for the key, did they? Okay, anyway. I'll check it out afterwards. Yeah. So, more tolerant than a tree. So in the case of Haridas being whipped, how is that? He's not just, you can try Hare Krishna, you may tolerate. In the material sometimes people tolerate, but their tolerance is not usually without some, let's say, other agenda. They usually have another agenda, either to get glorified for their tolerance or just to, like, what is it? Stalin. You've heard of Stalin? He used to be the president of the Soviet Union, was it, right? One of the early ones. He was a very nice fellow, I heard. He was equal to all, wasn't he? He had no problem killing people left and right, I heard. I heard something like 20 million people, not in war, just civilians killed because they had something which he didn't like. This is Kali Yuga, especially these type of personalities. We have the same thing in Uganda. There's Idi Amin. You may have heard of him. He started the love feast. No, he heard of it. He didn't start it. Prabhupada started. But he must have heard about it. He started a love feast in 1972 in Uganda. He would take his friends out on a boat in Lake Victoria and feed them to the crocodiles.
Good.
Yeah, that was one of it. He was a man-eater. He discovered he was actually a man-eater. Yes. He used to eat humans. Rakshasa. They're still there. Some people are still like Rakshasas. You may not see them on the surface, but that influence is there. They don't care. So he was very tolerant. Stalin was known as for his tolerance. In what way? Not because he tolerated other people's apparent differences due to their karma and desire. No, he didn't tolerate that. But he did tolerate on his own behalf. He said he went in for a stomach operation in the hospital. This is history. And he refused to have any anesthesia. He had the operation, open stomach operation without anesthesia. He was so afraid they might kill him if he went in, with the anesthesia. Concerned. So he could see exactly what was going on. He forcibly didn't take the anesthesia. But imagine the pain. But look at Hiranyakashipu, how much tolerated he did. But what was the purpose of his tolerance?
To become immortal.
Pardon?
To become immortal.
To become immortal. He had his own rather selfish motivation. Not spiritually immortal, physically immortal. This is often the case. People may tolerate something in order to achieve something material, whatever it may be. But Haridas Thakur wasn't tolerating like that. And he wasn't simply, oftentimes people tolerate, but they're thinking at the same time, when I get out of here, I'm going to get my own back on this person. If it's somebody putting you in distress, isn't it? He may tolerate. Not like that. Haridas Thakur wasn't at all like that. In fact, he was smiling. He'd been whipped and beaten and dragged, and he was smiling. He couldn't help but smile because he was totally absorbed in chanting the holy name. And what was he thinking at the same time? This is the nature, paradukkha of a pure devotee of the Lord.
Please Krishna save them.
Yes, my Lord, please shower your mercy on these persons. Jesus had the same thing. Please, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. He wouldn't just say forgive them either. He was asking them to please deliver them, to release them, to actually, enlighten them. He wanted everyone's enlightenment. He felt sorry, very deep sorry for them, because there was so much ignorance, so much blinded. People who in this case are poor people, they're getting the reaction of their karma, but these type of persons are creating very bad karma. So the devotee feels even more compassion because they're causing themselves even more suffering. We may not feel like that. Maybe we theoretically may. Practically, it may not always be as easy as that. And that's understood. We're in the neophyte stage where we do discriminate. But by following the proper path and continuing steady, the very word here, attached, firmly attached, we become, maybe we're not firmly attached in the sense to the Lord, but we're firmly attached to our devotional practices, which are given to us by the Lord, isn't it? So Prabhupada said that sometimes, that, was it Shruti Kirti, or was it one of the Bhagavad, I think? Not Bhagavad, it was in Bhagavad. One of Prabhupada's photographer disciples said, Prabhupada, all your disciples are so attached, they have so much love for you, but I don't feel that way. Prabhupada said, what are you doing? I'm just taking photographs. And Prabhupada said, why are you taking photographs? Because I want, devotees all over the world to have the association to glorify you like that. Prabhupada said, that is love.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a conscious feeling as such, but why are you doing it? You don't need to do that. Prabhupada wasn't paying him to do it. Right? Same with yourself. I don't know, maybe they do pay you. They pay you during the time? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I prefer not say.
Pardon?
I prefer not saying to you how much they give me.
No, I know. You don't have to. I mean, we know already, don't we?
I'm worried after
I don't want to.
I'm worried you come and
We
share
don't want to create envy amongst the other. It's a difficult one. As soon as someone gets more than we do, we often feel envious, don't we?
Yeah.
It's a dilemma. It really is in this Kali Yuga. Because we're neophytes, we're not seeing things properly. There's no equality in this world, as such, in terms of that type of equality. It's all on the spiritual platform. And the devotee sees whatever's going on like this, and helps him to see things a little bit more. What is the way of, how do you see things equally? Is it just a theoretical implementation? You have to see everyone equal. It says so in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, text 14. Vijavanaya Sampane, see them all equally. Okay, it's something. More than that? No. Yes?
You remind me, there's a Prabhupada Leela where an Indian man was challenging Prabhupada. Do you see everyone equal? What's the proof that you... And then Prabhupada said, I travel all over the world, giving people the opportunity to connect with Krishna. And and man sort of had a revelation. Oh, he sees people.
He gives everyone a chance to.
Yeah, all over, all kinds of people. Yeah.
Even if you're not. He was thinking, you're seeing like the super soul or the soul here,
Yeah.
there, and everywhere. Well, maybe some pure devotees are seeing like that. That's not how they generally relate. But they see everyone as the servant of Krishna. They see everything as Krishna's energies.
Everything is for Krishna's enjoyment.
Everything's for Krishna's enjoyment. It's his energy, it's meant to be used for his pleasure. Everyone and everything. And they try to connect everything to Krishna, somehow or another. Directly or indirectly. And that's what it says here. Pure devotee's chief concern, therefore, is to raise the ignorant mass of people to the sense of Krishna consciousness. The ignorant mass of people, specifically people, because you could preach. Sometimes you see great devotees that are preaching. Lord Chaitanya preached to the animals, Francis of Assisi preached to the fish. Some great personalities, they can preach to other living entities, they can communicate. But generally it's not the case. I mean, you can say when you chant Hare Krishna, the dog, the bird, everyone's getting benefit. But we're not going up to the dog and saying, you might jokingly do it.
I fed some birds some of my dinner last night.
Huh?
I fed some birds some of my dinner last night.
Did you really?
Yeah, they're
Wow.
very enthusiastic
Oh
about
my
it.
God. Wonderful.
And I didn't have to give them very much either.
Oh, they were satisfied. Not like not like the regular devotees. The birds. Sometimes you find that happens. Krishna's in the heart, guiding everyone's wandering. That's another equality, that Krishna is in the heart of everyone, isn't it? The devotee sees, or at least theoretically understands, everyone is being guided by Krishna. They're acting according to their conditioning and the guidance of Krishna. So the way you can see it like that, they're not necessarily, intrinsically they're not bad. They may be acting in different ways. But, because they're acting according to what condition they're in. They're in ignorance, They're like an ignorant child, it doesn't know. We don't know what to do. Kali Yuga people are in so much ignorance, as Prabhupada says here. They have no real knowledge. A pure devotee is actually learned because he knows his constitutional position. What is their constitutional position?
Eternal servant.
Service is even in the conditioned state, is still the actual nature of the soul, but our eternal constitutional position is not just service, it's one more little bit to it. Pardon?
To be the servant of the servant.
Divesh Rupai, Krishna Nityadas, Vichara Krishna Das. We're the eternal servants of Krishna. Now, of course, that comes down to Gopi Bhattapada Kamam Dasa Das. You can say servant. But ultimately, it's service to Krishna, direct or indirect. That's our nature, to serve Krishna. And it's everyone's nature. Everything that exists, every living entity. And so a devotee always, why? The devotee's compassion and tolerance, many qualities of the Vaishnava, which we don't hear much about now. They're listed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Do you have them there, Krishna people? The 26 qualities of a devotee?
26 qualities of devotee.
You've heard of that before?
Yeah.
Don't hear much about it these days.
My guru wrote a book about the 26
I know he did.
Yeah.
It's on the wall in the common room.
Is it? Oh wow, that's good. It used to be on, when I joined it was on every wall of the temple.
It's here if you want. All you have to do is type into Google the 26 qualities of the devotee. It comes right up.
I know, it's amazing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Google knows everything.
Do you want to hear them? Or,
In English only.
oh, yeah. 1, kind to everyone. 2, does not quarrel with anyone.
Listen carefully. Kind to everyone, doesn't quarrel with anyone.
Fixed in the absolute truth.
Fixed in the absolute truth.
Equal to everyone.
Equal to everyone. There you go, Samadar.
Faultless.
Faultless.
Charitable.
Charitable.
Mild.
Mild.
Clean.
Clean.
Simple.
Simple.
benevolent,
benevolent,
peaceful,
peaceful.
completely attached to Krishna,
Same thing here, completely attached to Krishna.
has no material hankering,
Has no material hankerings. As long as you have material hankerings, you cannot be equal to others.
meek,
Meat?
meek, meek,
Oh, meek, 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 meek.
steady,
Steady. Same thing here, steady.
self-control,
Steady, the word here is nirbada. Self-controlled.
does not eat more than required,
Does not eat more than required. Okay.
sane,
Sane, river sane.
respectful,
Respectful,
humble,
humble,
grave,
grave,
compassionate,
compassionate,
friendly,
friendly,
poetic,
poetic,
expert,
expert,
and silent.
and silent. Of course, all of those can be discussed. They have different meanings or deeper meanings to what we may immediately think. But these are the 26 listed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya, I think himself, spoke these to maybe Sanatana Goswami or some. What chapter verse is it there, Chaitanya Charitamrita?
This is Adi 8.
I think it's in a Madhya Lila too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the main quote. That may be referred to there. I think it's in the Madhya Lila, the
This
main
is the
quote.
purport.
Huh?
He's reading from the purport.
Ah, that's from the purple. There's an actual verse there, and I think it's in the Madhya Lila. I think it's Lord Chaitanya speaking to Sanatana Goswami on the glories of the devotees and qualities. That's just some of the qualities. The devotee has many qualities. We see Lord Kapila Dev also explains, doesn't it? Read that. That's another section similar to this one. That's in the 3rd canto, chapter 25, I guess. Look that up. 25, 3, 25, 20 maybe, something around that area. 3, 25, 20.
Yeah, 325:21 is the famous one about
Okay,
how
then
it's
read it.
tolerant and
Go there. Lord Kapila's teaching, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, and 20 something. There's 3 or 4 verses in a row. Go there. Maybe start with 19, I think.
It's like Titikshara Karnika Surya Sarvabhutan.
Huh?
Titikshara Karnika Surya.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 other verses too.
19 is okay, that's from that one. I think maybe it's just with
What's 19? The Sangha Majaram Pasha?
19 says perfection and self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality.
What's the next one? Next one. Wow, hey Bo, Rasalila. Hare Krishna, here she is. Here she is. Chand. Chand?
Chanda.
Chand.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna. She's come to help.
May I?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
The next one says, every learned man knows well that
Yeah.
attachment for the material
That's
is
the one I want you to
great.
start on. 20, is it? 20?
Well, the
Prasanga
21 is talks about the qualities.
Yeah, but 20 is Prasanga Majaram Pasham. I want you to start on that. Every learned man knows that the greatest. So,
Knows well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. That same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation.
okay, so that's the attachment has to be there. They become attached, as this verse here says. The verse or somewhere that they're attached to the Lord. Yeah, attached to me in the core of the heart. So it starts with their attachment to the devotees. So then it's a good idea to know what the devotee is. So what does it say next? Next few verses.
Symptoms of the sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime.
And carry on. There's actually 3 or 4 verses which describe them.
22
Very similar to this.
is
Just one after the other. After Prasangam, there's like this whole series of verses.
such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to
A
the
little
Lord.
clearer there, I didn't catch it. The
Such
sadhu,
a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family, relationships, and friendly acquaintances in the world.
And that's what was mentioned yesterday. Next one.
And 3. Engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme
Constantly chanting and hearing about me.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sadhus do not suffer from the material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities.
Don't suffer from the material miseries. There's one other after that.
Oh, my mother, O virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy men, for this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment.
Material what?
Attachment.
Material attachment. The pernicious. What does pernicious mean? It's not a very common word. Is it a French word also? Pernicious? Pernicious.
Pernicious.
Huh? What does it mean? Is it French? Pernicious. It may have a root in the French language. Maybe not exactly the same word, but it may have a root.
Pernicious.
Pardon?
Pernicious.
Pernicious. What does it mean?
It means vicious.
Huh?
Vicious.
Vicious.
Yeah.
Exactly. Vicious.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
is,
straightforward.
but,
Vicious. Vicious effects, the terrible effects of material attachment. Counteract it. To become attached and attached to the devotee, attached to serving the devotees. This counteracts the pernicious effects. So he has a good fortune. And this is again, as we heard yesterday, Krishna said, even those who serve my pure devotees are very dear to me. So this is the process. Serve the pure devotees of the Lord. We may not be on the level of Ambarish Maharaj or Haridas Thakur or whoever it is. But, you can see how they react, how Ambarish reacted when Durvasa Muni, a fiery demon, he ripped out a piece of his hair and smashed. Fiery demon suddenly comes to kill him. What did Ambarish just... he was just completely, I deserve this, my Lord. And then for the next year, he was praying for the welfare of Durvasa. He was thinking this one. Please release him. But the Lord can't release you until, in this case, as he's explaining here, that will come up. We have to go to that devotee. Only then will I release you. If you offend someone, you can't go to someone else and say sorry. I'm sorry I offended them. You better go and tell them that, not me. You have to go to them. And that happened. I mean, when Haridas Thakur was offended by Gopal Chakravarti, the Lord didn't forgive him. Haridas didn't take an offense in the first place. And he certainly forgave him if there was any. But the Lord didn't. Because Gopal didn't go. He was puffed up. And explained there that, and now we're in a very dangerous situation these days, by the way. Because in the past you may say something, maybe there's 20 people around and you start blaspheming or criticizing someone. People do it on the social media nowadays. And it's the actual statement, the Shastic statement, you have to go where you have blasphemed them, that is where you have to go for forgiveness. It's on social media you have to go and declare that I'm a number one rascal, I'm a blasphemer, I'm a liar, I'm a whatever it is that you realize. That's the form. You can't go to the person anymore and do it. You can't. That's not enough. Not enough. It's a dangerous world we live in. Very dangerous. Anyway, devotees don't react. They're like that anyway. There are certain differences. Sometimes they may react when it's somebody else involved or there's some other factor involved, but on their own account they don't react. They just tolerate. Lord, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Oh boy, I have a powerful team in the kitchen today. You're in the kitchen too. Gosh, my word, what's happening in the kitchen? Oh, bear in mind that I'm not infallible, by the way. But there's a good chance that more people will be coming to the temple today than usual. It's a holiday. Yes. And usually Indian people on holidays, A lot of them came yesterday, but a lot more may come today as well. It's quite likely. Nothing guaranteed. They may not come, but they may. Usually they do. Usually a good chance to distribute prasadam and do kirtan and preach, and distribute books and all sorts of things. Yeah. Okay. Anything?
Maharaj, I want to know, whenever I see the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava,
Whenever?
whenever I see the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava,
Yeah.
then I really feel frustrated because I don't have any, even a single one.
Oh, you don't have a single one.
Yes,
You-
that's the real truth.
That's another equality which we all have between us. We have none of the qualities of the devotee.
So how can we attain this? Should we try one after another like this, or should we try for all of this simultaneously?
Yasyasti bhaktiya bhagavad kinchana gunaisava tattva samasata sarava rava bhaktasya kato mahatmana mano atendasti bhakto vihi. That you may sometimes, when it's required, and you see yourself behaving in an unpleasant way, reacting, to some situation, or mistreating someone, you may, you may correct yourself. But you can't live your life like that. We focus on that which will, automatic, as this verse, Yashasti Bhakti Bhagavad Kinchana, this verse which describes how the one who's completely surrendered to the Lord, all these qualities manifest, because they're constitutional. They're constitutional. They're the nature of the soul. They're not something external. They're natural. They're natural qualities of a pure soul. So we concentrate primarily on the process of purifying ourselves, of putting Krishna in the center. The prime quality anyway is complete surrender to Krishna, or total attachment to Krishna. This is the prime quality. All the others will come. It may take, who knows how long it takes, but it will take time. But by putting Krishna in the center, the qualities which are intrinsic to the soul will gradually manifest as the dirt is cleared away through the chanting and hearing and service. Although in some cases you may, when you see that you're eating too much, for instance, more than you need, you may sometimes, we don't necessarily need what we need, know what we need, but at different stages you may adjust that. Or if you see yourself talking nonsense or arguing, you may be able to control it, because useless argument is no good, no use for anyone. There is a place obviously for debate or whatever. In a general principle, we don't argue. Get on with it. So, yeah. Yes.
The false ego is so conditioned to want to be the enjoyer, to try to enjoy through the senses, and it's in my Krishna consciousness or growth, a lot of times it's like I place the false ego on like a razor's edge. It's just like, it's kind of like a being very grave or sometimes severe, to try to like kill your false ego. But then on the flip side of that, sometimes I feel like I develop a maybe a rigid or heavy or very austere practice, which I guess it's hard for me to train myself to just grab onto Krishna's feet, and rather I like to I guess overcome my own faults and then approach Krishna. But what do you think is the right?
Whoa.
Because they say don't put pearls before swine. But we're
Don't
like
put
calling
pearls before swine. How does that come in?
I was just saying that a lot of times we say, okay, you're you're fallen, you have a false ego and wants to enjoy, just remember Krishna. But usually I put a step in between where I try to overcome my false ego.
Well, there's a bit of both. There's a bit of both. I mean, the primary thing we try to do is to hear the sound vibration of the holy name, to focus on our service, and not to spend our time, with every little detail of the manifestation of our false ego. It never ends practically. But there are some times when you do. I mean, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said we should beat the mind 100 times with a shoe, and, sometimes you have to say no to the whatever it is. Sometimes you have to do things, just like Prabhupada himself would say, sometimes suppose having problems, there is, say, unwanted behavior. And he would sometimes say, then you should not eat sugar at night, or not eat at night. Sometimes he would put some practical practice in there too, not just a condemnation of an activity which was unfavorable for devotion, or a particular attitude which we have. Sometimes you get very angry, Another aspect, you get angry at yourself sometimes, isn't it? Which Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj also said at a certain stage, yes. When faults in others delude you and we become bewildered. Look within, find your own faults. Said if should we use anger against those who are envious of Krishna? He said yes, but first of all, who is the most envious? Me. Who is the most envious of them all? So to whom do I use anger? So there is a certain amount of that is there, but that's not our primary factor to spend our time just kind of beating away, fighting away against our false egos, but rather trying to take, ultimately we cannot overcome this false ego. It's not possible. It's not possible, without the mercy of Krishna. It's only possible by the mercy of Krishna. So we take firm shelter. As Krishna says to Arjuna, did he tell him just to take shelter of me on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Is that all he said? Don't worry about the battle, Arjuna, just take shelter of me. You don't have to do anything. Did he tell him that? Nobody knows. Is that what he said?
No.
What did he tell him?
You didn't tell Arjuna, have your mind fixed on me.
He says, Vidasva Vigatajvara. Fight with fever, with
Fight.
enthusiasm.
Yeah. Huh?
He said, Mama was funny. You fight, but remembering well.
Conscious of me. Okay, be an instant. There's all kinds of quotes that can be utilized there. But the primary thing is that you must do what you have to do, but you be conscious of me. So you may be, but you have to realize that we cannot overcome this tendency without the mercy of Krishna. So we may do what we have to do. It's like with book distribution. You don't just say, I depend on Krishna, full stop, and stand there. You do make an effort, isn't it? You do try to learn techniques of how to, focus on what you're doing. How better to, convince the person to take a book, for instance. You may learn techniques, but at the same time, it's not techniques. The main thing is depending on Krishna. It's taking shelter of Krishna, praying to Krishna, whatever it is. But we make our effort as well. So some effort has to be there. We don't just totally ignore the present. We do make an effort to not allow our our consciousness to be carried away by some crazy thoughts. That's mechanical chanting. It's not very effective. You have to be conscious. So when we see it's a conscious thing, it's taking chanting as an example, you see somebody's, some disturbances there, you may have to make a special effort to, how I can not associate. Every learned man knows the greatest entanglement for the living entities are attachment to the material things, objects, attachment. So when the mind or consciousness goes over there, then you may have to make a special effort. You have to pull it back. Just sort of pull it back again. But, so the two go on simultaneously, I would say. taking shelter of Krishna, and you're making an effort when necessary, particularly. If you're completely taking shelter of Krishna, you don't nothing much to say, you're there, but sometimes you may find yourself drifting away on any level of life. Anything else on that? Nothing?
Maharaj, my question is, how to have these qualities without being exploited? Because sharing my personal experience, like because I'm not a devotee, but whenever I try to mimic a devotee as well, like when I'm outside, I'm always afraid that people will exploit me even if I try to inculcate these qualities at me.
If you actually have these qualities, if you don't have these qualities, you're being exploited. If you don't have them, everyone's being exploited. If you have these qualities, you're not being exploited.
Being kind to everyone. I mean.
Yeah, well, we're not on that level. These are the qualities of the pure devotee. So we follow the path. That's what we heard earlier on. We don't preach to the envious. We avoid them. We avoid them. You associate with the devotees. You preach to the innocent. You avoid the envious, and you worship Krishna. So you have to have some discrimination there. Pure devotee who actually has these qualities is not being exploited at all. Everyone else is being exploited. People talk about, I'm victimized, but actually everyone's a victim. And everyone's victimizing others too, because we're keeping others in ignorance and we're in ignorance. So a pure devotee is not, no matter what you say to a pure devotee, he doesn't take offense. It's not like, why are you doing this to me? This is not fair. He sees everything in relation with Krishna. He has no problem with that at all. Even if somebody hates you, the devotee is sorry that the person feels the way they do, maybe, but they have no animosity towards that person, and it doesn't disturb them in any way. They're undisturbed. But we're not on that level, so you will be disturbed. And we can't artificially think that we are equal to everyone when we're really not. But we know that's the nature of the pure devotee. So we serve a pure devotee. The system is to serve the pure devotee. Serve the pure devotee. One who has those qualities. Well, we serve Prabhupada and our Paramparana. Hare Krishna. Yeah, just be a little careful. We do have to discriminate. Totally. Whatever you do, Krishna. We're not on the level of Ashlishala Padavatam Panashtamam. You can do what you like with me, Krishna. You can crush me in your embrace. Make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. You're completely free to do anything and everything. Whatever you do, I'm completely satisfied. Make sure you do that which makes me happy, okay? No, we're not on that level. We're not in the hearts. We're not completely attached to Krishna in our heart of hearts. As the verse says. Such a devotee, Krishna gives full protection. Full protection. He's giving us protection too, because we're serving a person, but differently. According to the level we're on, Krishna will manifest different ways. It may not look like protection when he takes things away. For near-folk, that doesn't look like protection when he takes things away from us. It looks the opposite. But when we're ready, Krishna may do that also. So we can rise to a higher level of devotion. Okay, let's get into Srila Prabhupada Ki.
His Holiness Ananda Goswami Maharaj Ki.
Jai.